Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Chapman, and my official title is Distinguished Software Engineer at Comcast. What that means is that every day I work on developing exciting and new entertainment products for Comcast customers. I've been fascinated with computers since I was a little girl, and always thought it was so cool that software engineers could actually build innovative technology. And now I'm doing it. Comcast supports Science Club for Girls because engaging young women in STEM will create a future where writing and designing software, building bridges, constructing networks, and curing diseases will all be influenced by any brilliant young woman with the talent to do so. Thank you, and congratulations to Catalyst honorees Beth Chandler and Dr. Rana Kaliouby for helping to pave the way.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah from Science Club for Girls Live, our live weekly science show. And I'm joined by my science sidekick, Dr. Marbles.
Hey, scientists! It's great to see you. I am so excited for tonight's event.
I bet you are. I mean, with all of our amazing awardees and special guests, it's sure to be a catalyst to remember.
It will. A catalyst to remember. A catalyst. Hey, Hannah.
Yeah?
We keep using the word catalyst. What's a catalyst?
That's a great question, Dr. Marbles. And I can't think of any better way to explain what a catalyst is than by doing an experiment.
Did you say experiment? Experiment! Yeah! Then I need my safety goggles. Be right back.
Okay, so in each of these flasks, I have 1/4 of a cup of hydrogen peroxide and some food coloring to make it extra pretty. I'm going to add some big drops of dish soap to each flask. This will make it extra fun and bubbly. Okay, now for the fun part. I have 2 different containers. In one container, I have 3 tablespoons of water. And in the other container, I also have 3 tablespoons of water, but this time I've added in some yeast. Now what I'm going to do is add one container to one flask and the other container to the other flask and see what happens. Now this is the most exciting part of the experiment, and I'm sure Dr. Marbles does not want to miss this. So let's invite him back in to see what's going to happen.
Am I on camera?
Yep, good to go.
Oh. All right, we're ready to go. Great.
Let's count down from 5, and if you're at home watching, count down with us. Are you ready, Dr. Marbles?
Yeah, but I'll start when you get to 4.
Oh, okay. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. What? Hannah! Oh my gosh!
Look at that!
Wow! Huh. Hey, Hannah, I wonder, was the yeast what formed the catalyst? Was it what accelerated the reaction?
Great point, Dr. Marbles. In fact, the beaker that had the yeast went at a lot faster rate than the beaker without the yeast. That means in our reaction, the yeast was the catalyst, speeding up that chemical reaction by breaking down the hydrogen peroxide.
Hannah, that is so amazing. I mean, so the yeast, as a catalyst, the yeast made the change happen really rapidly. You know what? That's a lot like our Catalyst Awardees tonight. They created rapid change, pretty big change to occur. So they're catalysts.
Great point, Dr. Marbles. And after seeing a catalyst in action with this experiment, I'm even more excited for tonight and to hear our Catalyst Awardees.
Me too.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what's next. So let's check it out.
Let's see.
Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Catalyst Awards. I'm Karyn Holmes Ward, host of WCVB's City Line on Channel 5. I recently had the opportunity to interview 2 impressive members of the Science Club community, and it's my pleasure to kick off the celebrations tonight and introduce you to this incredible organization. For over 26 years, Science Club for Girls has expanded opportunities for girls and young women to gain skills and confidence in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, particularly girls from underrepresented communities, to see themselves in STEM. Their free programs engage girls in STEM education in after-school clubs taught by women STEM mentors. Science Club helps girls avoid the many off-ramps to STEM education and careers, starting as early as kindergarten through their senior year in high school, through fun, hands-on learning, and a supportive community. They've had great success, with over 5,000 girls having gone through the program, and over the last 11 years, more than 90% of juniors and seniors have gone on to college. That's up 20% over the national average, and over 55% majoring in STEM. Studies have shown that as early as second grade, girls begin to associate boys with science and math, and that middle school is when negative stereotypes cause many girls to avoid STEM subjects altogether. Girls from racial and economic backgrounds underrepresented in STEM face even greater barriers. As a result, women make up less than 26% of the STEM workforce, and less than 4% of U.S. scientists and engineers are Black and Hispanic women. Science Club for Girls fills these critical gaps to expand and diversify the pipeline of future STEM workers and STEM leaders who will solve our most pressing challenges of today and tomorrow. Clearly, their work today is more relevant than ever. Tonight, you'll learn more about both their in-person and virtual programs, hearing from two young women who've gone through the program. And in a moment, you'll catch a glimpse of the clubs in action. You'll also enjoy a fireside chat with Science Club's executive director and the Catalyst Awardees, Beth Chandler of YW Boston and Dr. Rana Kaliouby of Affectiva, two remarkable leaders who are paving their way for a more diverse, inclusive, and inspiring world of STEM. On behalf of everyone at Science Club, thank you for joining us. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, girls. Science Club for Girls is a representation of women of color existing in STEM.
After school programs and Saturday morning programs.
We have spent a good deal of time recruiting mentors from the communities we serve.
To show them that there are people that look like them.
It's a great program and I've continued with it ever since I was so young.
Hi, I'm Safi. I'm a junior mentor.
Science clubs that start in kindergarten and have programming running through 12th grade, feeding the future pipeline of skilled STEM workers. They are also developing skills in communications, planning, and teamwork. They become more confident and take on leadership opportunities and affirm their STEM identity.
I saw how much good it was doing for these girls. It gave them a sense of agency.
I have an idea.
It is because of Science Club for Girls that I'm actually studying neuroscience.
Science Club for Girls!
Hello, everyone. I'm Karyn, Polito, Lieutenant Governor, and it's an honor to be with all of you tonight. Science Club for Girls celebrating 26 years. That's amazing. And for your Catalyst Awards and recognizing two incredibly talented women, tonight is a really great occasion. First and foremost, this past year has been an extraordinary challenge for everyone, and COVID has changed everything about life, about work, about how we do things day to day. But it also has allowed us to sort of highlight and see the opportunities all around us in STEM. When you think over this past year about our healthcare sector and all of the people involved in delivering care to COVID patients and other patients, you think about the need for PPE and how manufacturing workplaces turned into places to manufacture gowns and masks and ventilator parts. And you just think about, in a relatively short time, right here in this Commonwealth, great people researched, discovered, and are making vaccines to inoculate people around the world from COVID-19. All of that has to do with STEM. And it brings to the point tonight why your program and highlighting STEM opportunities, especially for girls, is so critically important. 26 years ago when you started this, you clearly saw that there were not enough girls entering into pathways that would lead them to developing skills and know-how and abilities for STEM careers. So we need to engage and make it as exciting as possible for young girls to feel the spark and the excitement and to literally see themselves in STEM careers. We have a public awareness campaign that we launched as part of the STEM Council to encourage young people to see themselves in STEM. We have these innovation pathways where early on in your education, you can design a pathway that will lead you to a science, technology, engineering, or math career. Or to break down barriers and make it affordable and accessible, we have STEM starter academies where you can start to earn credits and partner with community colleges to earn other degrees and certificates that lead you to jobs in STEM. So all of this is critically important. Clearly here in our Commonwealth, where talent drives innovation and talent drives the industry clusters, especially life sciences, that are so critically important. And we need you to continue to engage girls in this experience. And for 26 years going strong, we need you to continue to be strong in the future about programming and opportunities for more girls to enter these pathways. Tonight, you spotlight two award recipients. You have Beth Chandler and Dr. Rana Kaliouby. I want to congratulate both of you for receiving the Catalyst Awards, and thank you for being an inspiration to girls and to others in our community to see themselves on these pathways to opportunity and success, and clearly ways to make a difference in people's lives. You have a lot to celebrate tonight. Enjoy, and thank you for having me.
One of the many benefits of a club like the Science Club for Girls is that without all the voices being able to contribute to the discourse, we cannot solve the globe's greatest challenges, whether that's in healthcare, lab scientific work, technology, space. And we're seeing this during the pandemic. Without the representation from girls and women of all races, we're really only having a partial conversation.
In March 2020, our whole world shut down.
Science Club for Girls pivoted almost immediately from a hands-on group activity that happened every week to this virtual space. They did it in a way that our public schools were not able to do.
As we started coming up with more and more creative solutions,
Hey, prediction puppy!
we decided that we were going to do our full semester's curriculum.
Today I made a bridge.
I applaud Science Club for Girls for going virtual.
And that led to our incredible staff creating 350 versions of our weekly activities and then coalesce it into a semester's kit.
Wait, guys, why don't you want the wall to be long?
Yeah, you guys are talking
Let's
about
talk about that.
Just because it's a tall wall doesn't mean it can't be long too. Exactly.
I mean, even the Great Wall of China is starting to fall apart, so it's okay if you don't get it down at first, but that's why we're problem solvers.
I did surgery on Jello. I got it.
Those activity bags, which contain each and every item that my daughter needs to participate in each weekly challenge, are so thoughtfully put together.
We kept going, never lost momentum.
Attendance numbers have been incredibly high this past fall, even though we're virtual.
We brought in more girls and more mentors to our community.
Over 250 girls from underrepresented backgrounds who are able to feel confident in their abilities.
That is transformational.
We really were able to replicate the feeling that Science Club for Girls has been doing for 25 years.
My patient needed blood, so I created blood with water and food coloring. Woohoo!
Fusion.
We engaged scientists from all over the country to interact with our girls in really honest and forthright ways that we couldn't have imagined before Zoom.
My name is Trishonda Moten. I'm an aerospace engineer. How do you settle on your major or what you want to accomplish in life?
I was typically the only Black woman in my classes, sometimes the only Black person.
Each and every one of those 250 girls were doing these activities in their homes. So their brothers, sisters, moms, dads, guardians, grandparents, they were watching 250 girls be engineers and scientists.
No extra charge.
Love it. So many facts today, Dr. Marbles.
And this is the spirit of Science Club for Girls.
In person or virtual, we can make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mentors. Thank you. Thank you, mentors. When is all of Science Club ending? Is it going to end soon? Because I don't want it to end at all.
One of the things that's really important for women in their growth in the sciences is sponsorship and mentorship at various levels that allows them to identify opportunities that are right for them. That's one of the things that I've found that's really unique about foundation medicine is not just this interest in enabling the growth of female scientists, but a true passion to help women in the sciences achieve their dreams in their careers.
Hello everyone, my name is Cristina Williamson, former participant and current mentor for 3rd through 5th graders on Saturday mornings. I am also pursuing a bachelor's degree in biology and classics. I've been interested in STEM from quite a young age. Upon hearing about a free program offered to growing girls in the greater Boston area, my mom signed me up in the 4th grade, and the rest has pretty much been history. Being able to grow up while attending the clubs is an experience that helped shape me into the individual that I am today. Aside from the many curricula learned as a student, I also learned valuable lessons in leadership and teamwork as a junior mentor and mentor. And as a Black woman in STEM, moving in these professional spaces is often a challenge, and I believe Science Club is helping bridge that gap by welcoming any and all girls to participate. Even now, as a college student, I can vividly look back on the many memories that I made during my time in Science Club, from looking at zebrafish and learning about regeneration in Harvard's stem cell lab, dissecting cow hearts in front of kindergartners at Northeastern, touring a space telescope in Cambridge, to hiking and canoeing in the Blue Hills with my friends. Surprisingly enough, many of those memories were from 10 years ago, but I can still remember the fun I had learning about things that I had never heard of before. Science Club allowed me to see the world from an inquisitive perspective while surrounding myself with others that were just as curious about STEM as me, many of whom I still keep in touch with to this day on social media. To us, it never felt like a classroom. It was just a new and fun activity that we got to do and show our parents. One of the best things you can do for yourself is striving for whatever you enjoy the most in life. Oftentimes, people aren't given that space to branch out and explore new possibilities. It's thanks to the dedicated group of women in Science Club for Girls that this reality is changing, one person at a time. Thank you for listening to my story and for your continued support.
Hello, my name is Angel Morales, and this is my story of being a Science Club for Girls member. The dark, slightly lit classroom was silent. Everyone was focused on perfecting their bridge. As a quieter child, I often liked to observe others before I said anything. I remember looking around and being in such awe to see college-aged girls that were mentoring us. I was often surrounded by kids or adults, and never college students. Having a mentor that could teach me and be friends with me was a first-time experience. Soon it was time for us to present our final products. We all stood in front of our bridges, smiling proudly to show off our hard work. Some bridges were sturdy and sustained the weight of the tennis balls. Others weren't so lucky. I vaguely remember that some of us were upset that our bridges hadn't passed the test. The mentors immediately came to our rescue and consoled us. They told us that sometimes our projects might not work, but the best thing to do is persevere. Sometimes we fail, and that's okay. What you can do is not get upset and find a way to fix it, they said to us. I guess I took that to the heart and learned a lesson from that day, as I did every club meeting. Thinking back, I remember a time when I was the one mentoring and consoling the girls. The roles had been switched and I had come around full circle. A second grade girl who was in my club had been upset because her activity was not going the way she wanted it to. She had hidden underneath the table with tears in her eyes. I remember that I stooped down to my knees and peered underneath the table. I asked her to join me outside for a walk and get a drink of water. She tearfully agreed. I talked to her and explained what my mentors had explained to me when I was her age. I was able to calm her down and she let me help her with the activity we were doing. I had taken the empathetic actions my mentors had shown me so long ago and had used them to help this young girl stand her ground and not be afraid of failing. Throughout my life, I have participated in Science Club for Girls for over 10 years. I started off as one of the kindergarteners, just like the youngest girls of this program, until now that I am a junior mentor. The college-aged girls, my mentors, were the ones who inspired me to work with children and teach them and help them grow. This has helped shape my character by permitting me to teach other girls, specifically minority girls, the importance of having a career in STEM, and showing them that it's possible to have a career in any field. I have learned responsibility, time management, relationship building, and how to be a leader or a role model. As a woman of color, I am inspired when I see other women pursuing careers and defeating the stereotypes. In college, I hope to continue to mentor these younger girls, but not as a junior mentor, this time as a college-age mentor. By participating in this program for over 10 years, I now know that I want to pursue a career in STEM, specifically healthcare. Throughout my time in Science Club for Girls, I have much valued every lesson that I have learned and the time I have grown, becoming who I am. Growing up, I never felt like I was represented enough in the media, especially with no role model that looked like me. Furthermore, being a girl, specifically a Latinx woman from a first-generation family, is not always praised. I often found it hard to value myself and accept who I am. Unlike today, society had often praised a certain type of person. Luckily now, societal norms are constantly changing. Though I found it difficult not having someone to look up to, I am even more inspired when I see other women pursuing careers and defeating the stereotypes. This is why I love to stand up for others and make sure that I am always socially engaged. By joining programs such as Science Club for Girls, I can ensure that younger girls, just like me, won't go through what I went through, and I will be able to be a positive role model for them to look up to. Thank you for hearing my story, and thank you for supporting amazing organizations such as Science Club for Girls.
My name is Maria Morales. I'm a mother. My daughter, Angell Munoz, joined Science Club for a Girl in the 2nd grade. She always was looking forward to go to Science Club, not to miss the day. The mentors were great. The relationship was like a sister and older sister type of relationship. It's not only about the science, it's not only about the technology, it's the love, the caring, the teaching. It's basically grabbing a child by the hand and guide them to do certain things. I became a single mom during that process. So it was a little difficult, to be able to work full time and manage to make sure my daughter participated in the program. I'm fortunate as a mom to have received that opportunity that was going to help my daughter to succeed in her education as a person, as a woman, as a minority, because obviously sometimes we believe there is no opportunity for us. I'm sorry, I get emotional. I truly believe that Science Club opened her path. When she was in 8th grade, she began saying that she wanted to be a pediatrician. And she has continued in that path. And now my daughter is a senior in high school, and she went back to Science Club as a junior mentor. She can make a difference in other kids and little ones in the way it has been, done for her. And she's been accepted in about 10, 11 colleges so far. I don't know, we lost count. I would love to see Science Club for Girls continue, but also expand, not only in Massachusetts, but all over. Why not? This is such a wonderful program. And guess what is going to happen? We are going to have productive professionals that are willing to go and give back. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, we always talk about what is going to happen, what we are going to do, what is next. And I asked my daughter, wouldn't it be fun to go back to Science Club for Girls when you're in college? Continue, probably do some volunteer. And she said, yeah, of course I want to do it. You can tell I'm a proud mom.
I'm Divya Balakrishnan from Exceedance. We are delighted to partner with the Science Club for Girls. Both organizations truly believe in investing in the future female leaders of STEM. Together, we hope to foster a more inclusive work environment for the next generation.
Good evening. I'm Bonnie Bertolaet, the Executive Director of Science Club for Girls, and I'm thrilled to be with you tonight at our second virtual Catalyst Awards. In a moment, I'll share a glimpse of our future plans and vision for building on Maria's call to action to bring Science Club for Girls to more girls and to expand our impact in the coming year and beyond. But first, I'd like to thank all of those who made tonight's celebration possible. Thank you to our platinum sponsors, Comcast and Latham & Watkins, our gold sponsor, Foundation Medicine, and our silver sponsors, Dell Technologies, Thermo Fisher Scientific, Hologic, Verizon, Sanofi Genzyme, and Exceedance, and to tonight's many other generous sponsors. Even virtually, hosting our annual Catalyst Awards is a huge team effort and would not be possible without our dedicated board, talented staff, and many volunteers, including those on our development committee. I would also like to thank all of the girls, families, and mentors, many who are watching here tonight, who show up week after week and have brought so much joy, passion, and enthusiasm to our organization this past year. And of course, thank you to all of you who registered to attend, made a donation, and helped spread the word. Tonight's event would not be a success without you. Thank you for helping to make Maria's wish a reality. For 26 years, Science Club for Girls has been addressing inequities in STEM around gender, race, and socioeconomic factors, and there has never been a more important time to do this work. With heavy burdens of the pandemic falling on many of the families and girls we serve, supporting our community both with hands-on education and social-emotional learning has been critical this year. During a time when schools are struggling to keep kids engaged and mental health issues among youth are on the rise, Science Club for Girls has been a bright spot for our girls, families, and mentors, who, with the support of our program team, have maintained an incredibly strong sense of community, even virtually. We've been so inspired by our girls and mentors who show up each week, eager to learn, connect with each other, explore, and grow. It's hard to believe we've been running virtual programs for over a year now and how far we've come. From the first episode of our live science show, SCFG Live, last April, to airing our 30th episode in March, all of these episodes have now garnered over 37,000 views. We've innovated, iterated, and learned a tremendous amount, developing new methods of recruitment, packing and delivering supplies, and translating our curriculum to a virtual format. After piloting an array of virtual programs this past spring and summer, including our 2-week summer rocketry camp for middle school girls, which was a blast, we began running the full scope of our 8-week hands-on science curriculum for over 250 girls over Zoom in the past fall and now in the current spring semester. Despite challenges of the pandemic, we've continued reaching our population of girls and even exceeded our pre-pandemic enrollment levels. We are serving over 250 girls, 75% who are underrepresented in STEM by race, family income, or are first-generation college-bound. Over 70 mentors, 65% from these same communities, teach the clubs each week. When in person, our clubs cover over 3 cities, but with virtual programs, we are now reaching over 6 cities with SCFG Live and 77 schools throughout Greater Boston with virtual science clubs. As you've seen tonight, there is no Zoom fatigue at Science Club. Girls have been logging on the bus and even from the dentist chair. We have had 85 to 90% attendance from both participants and mentors and have discovered many advantages to the virtual format, which further reduces barriers to participation and allows engagement from the whole family. Given the benefits of virtual learning, we plan to maintain a virtual branch even as we return to in-person clubs. This summer, we will double enrollment for our rocketry camp from 20 to 40 girls, middle school girls, with 75% from underrepresented communities in STEM. And this fall, our goal is to serve an additional 100 girls, increasing enrollment by 40% from 250 to 350 girls. Of course, none of this would be possible without your support. In the coming years, we will continue this path of sustainable growth, increasing the number of girls served to 625 girls each semester in 3 years. We will also deepen the ways we support our mentors and graduating seniors as they transition to college and careers. We are thrilled to be honoring Beth Chandler and Rana Kaliouby, whose leadership is making transformational change, creating the kind of inclusive environments where our girls and mentors can thrive in their future career paths. As we look to the future, we know the demand for Science Club for Girls only continues to grow due to the widening opportunity gaps and the urgent need to increase and diversify the STEM workforce at all levels, and for girls to become leaders in STEM in their own communities. We are committed to expanding opportunities for even more girls, no matter their background, so they may be inspired by the wonders of science and imagine and pursue rewarding careers and futures for themselves in STEM like Angell and Ty. With your help, we will continue to make a difference, building a pipeline of diverse, skilled STEM workers, women STEM workers, and investing in the future scientists and leaders who will make our world a better, more equitable, more inspiring place. Thank you so very much.
Wow, it's just been incredible to hear about the impact that Science Club for Girls has had on so many, like Ty and Angell, who you heard from earlier tonight. Of course, Science Club for Girls would not be possible without the support of so many of you watching here tonight. We want to thank you. And as we all know, there is still so much more work to do. Tonight, we're asking for your support to ensure that more girls and young women can experience these life-changing opportunities to imagine and pursue a future for themselves in STEM. So even if you're a longtime supporter or new to the Science Club community, please consider making a donation that is meaningful to you to invest in the future of these smart, talented girls and young women, and in all of our futures for a brighter, more inspiring world. Tonight's funds are critically important for Science Club to expand their programs to serve even more girls. In particular, they need your support to serve an additional 1 100 girls this upcoming fall semester, increasing enrollment from 250 to a total of 350 girls in grades K through 12. Your support will keep programs free for all participants, particularly for girls who need the most, funding the supplies, training, and staffing needed to run both virtual and in-person clubs. We thank you for your generous support. You're creating opportunities for more young girls to see themselves in STEM and building a better, more equitable STEM community and future for us all. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to tonight's Catalyst Awardees, Beth Chandler, President and CEO of YW Boston, and Dr. Rana Kaliouby, CEO and co-founder of Affectiva and author of Girl Decoded. These two remarkable leaders are paving the way for more girls and women of diverse backgrounds to thrive in their lives, educations, and careers in STEM and beyond by creating spaces and cultures that promote greater equity, diversity, and inclusion. As the head of YW Boston, Ms. Chandler is a true champion and thought leader for gender equity, anti-racism, and diversity. Under her leadership and vision, YW Boston continues to make a striking impact on the greater Boston community, educating and empowering thousands of Bostonians each year to make positive change and helping organizations create more inclusive environments for women, people of color, and particularly women of color. Beth brings more than 20 years of experience in the corporate and nonprofit sectors to YW's work of addressing disparities, to eliminate racism, empower women and girls, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all by working to impart change at the individual, organizational, and systemic levels. Dr. Kaliouby is a computer scientist, entrepreneur, and pioneer in the field of emotional artificial intelligence. In her recently published memoir, Girl Decoded, a scientist's quest to reclaim our humanity by bringing emotional intelligence to technology, she describes her personal trajectory, including the triumphs and challenges as a Muslim and Egyptian American woman in STEM. Dr. Kaliouby is a passionate advocate for humanizing technology, ethics, and AI, and diversity, and has been recognized on Fortune's 40 Under 40 list and as one of Forbes' top 50 women in tech. She is a role model and inspiration, especially to young women and emerging leaders, with her open, relatable style of mentorship and her own impressive and accomplished career. Please join me in congratulating Beth and Rana.
Hi, Science Club for Girls. I am so excited and honored to be with you all here today. Of all the awards I've received, being a Catalyst Award winner for the Science Club for Girls is one of the most honorable and most inspiring awards I've ever received. I have found that being a scientist, entrepreneur, technologist has allowed me to bring something I'm super passionate about, something I care deeply about to the world, and do it in such an impactful and scalable way. And I'm so excited that you are all considering science as a way to solve big problems in the world. I especially think it's so important to bring diverse voices and diverse brains to the table as we figure out how to have the most positive impact in the world around us. And science is a brilliant way to do that. And I encourage you all to continue to explore that journey. I know that sometimes it will feel very lonely, especially in the real world, where there is an underrepresentation of girls and women in science, technology, engineering, and math careers and opportunities, but the opportunities are there. And in fact, I want you to think of the fact that sometimes you're going to be a lone voice around the table as a superpower. That allows you to bring a unique perspective, own that perspective, be proud of it, be confident, be excited to share it, and bridge your ideas to the whole entire world. I will also say that I have found that my journey of kind of overcoming my inner voice of doubt at times was a struggle at some points, right? Like I often doubted myself. I often doubted my ability to do things. But again, I encourage you, if that happens to you, to seek mentors and people who care about you and are your champions and cheerleaders to help you kind of remember the power that is within you. I've been interacting with you all over the last year, and I have to say it's been super inspiring. The amount of creativity, the amount of resolve that you have to make an impact in the world, and also the grit and the passion. So I'm excited to follow all of your journeys, and I hope I can be helpful. Thank you again for this super awesome award, and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for selecting me as a 2021 Catalyst Award recipient. I'm thrilled to be honored with this award. When I was in elementary school, my best friend, Geraldine Goulding, wanted to be a veterinarian and a jockey. And so I too wanted to be a veterinarian and a jockey. And we would even occasionally muck out the local stable so that we could get free horseback riding lessons. At the beginning of 6th grade, Geraldine and her family moved away. And I was devastated. I had lost my best friend. I also had a growth spurt, so any hopes I had of being a jockey were dashed. But the one thing I did find out was that I also had a love for science. And I remember using my allowance to buy science kits so I could do experiments. I remember going to the bookstore and buying books that I could read about science. And at one point I wanted to be an astronaut. I also remember my parents buying me a microscope for Christmas and a telescope as well. But the one thing I didn't have was an organization like Science Club for Girls. There was no place that I could go to find other girls who shared similar interests to me, and to see women in roles to serve as mentors so that I knew what I could aspire to be when it came to science. And so I am thrilled that there's an organization such as Science Club for Girls that exists today. And I want you to know that I will continue to do my part to help organizations create more inclusive environments, so when those girls enter the workforce, there's a place for them to go and where they can go and be successful. So thank you so much for all that you do. Congratulations to the other awardees, and thank you again for this tremendous honor.
This year, we are all students. At Verizon, we're enabling education however possible, preparing teachers and parents, and providing tech solutions to schools nationwide. It's Citizen Verizon in action, our plan for economic, environmental, and social advancement.
Well, Science Club for Girls is honored to be speaking with Beth Chandler, CEO of YW Boston, and Rana Kaliouby, CEO of Affectiva. We have so much respect and gratitude for the work both of you do in creating more diverse, equitable, and inclusive communities, whether it be through understanding the cultures we create in our own organizations and how they fit into larger systems via the work of YW Boston, or within the STEM ecosystem to develop emotional artificial intelligence to use technology to better connect with one another in more meaningful ways and combat intolerance through the work at Affectiva.
It's great to be here. I guess my background a little bit to share, I have been in the nonprofit sector for over 20 years, but I have spent some time in the for-profit sector as well. And what really motivated me to join YW Boston was its mission, which is to eliminate racism and empower women. And that drove me because I've worked for so many organizations where they exist in part because of the systemic issues around racism and sexism. And so I wanted to work with an organization who's really going after the root causes of those issues. And so at YW Boston, our focus is on helping organizations create more inclusive environments so that women, people of color, and especially women of color can thrive at all levels.
So excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Bonnie. So I'm originally from Egypt. I grew up around the Middle East and studied computer science as an undergraduate. And then from then on did my Ph.D. building the first ever emotionally intelligent machine, because I realized that technology was emotion blind, but emotions and empathy is what makes us most human. And I wanted to bring that into the way we connect and communicate with one another. That took me on a journey which brought me over to the United States, to MIT as a postdoc. My career goal was to become faculty, but I quickly realized I had a unique opportunity to commercialize this technology, this baby that I had, that I felt so passionate about, and spun out Affectiva 11 years ago on this mission to humanize technology before it dehumanizes us. I am very passionate about bringing more women and girls into technology and science, and creating more diverse and inclusive spaces so that these diverse voices have an opportunity to shape what technology looks like, which is really key because, of course, technology is now, deeply ingrained in every aspect of our lives. And if it's designed by a small subset of people, it's not going to work for all of us. So it's something that I've become very, very focused on to bring more girls and women into our, tech spaces.
There are a lot of reasons why we should care. Part of it's the moral reason, in that everybody should have opportunities to be successful. And it doesn't matter, how you identify, that shouldn't impact your ability to be successful. And so that's part of the reason why we should care. And if the moral argument doesn't work for you, there's also the business argument, which is we are going to be a more diverse country year after year after year. By 2050, we anticipate there being no racial majority in the United States. And so that means we need to make sure that everybody's a part of the fabric of this country so that the country can do well, so we can perform well. When you look at data, such as McKinsey's data that looks at companies that have more racial and gender diversity in leadership, those organizations outperform their peers. They don't perform equally, they don't underperform, they actually outperform their peers. And so if organizations have more diversity across a variety of dimensions, they're going to do better. And if an organization does better, then everybody in that organization benefits. And so, both from the moral reason and the business reason, it makes sense. And if you look at what employees want in organizations, there's a higher percentage of employees that care about being in diverse environments. And so you're going to lose your competitive edge. You're going to lose your ability to hire employees if you don't have greater diversity. So for a variety of reasons, it matters to have more organizations that are really inclusive.
Yeah, so it's so important to really think about diversity and inclusivity in STEM fields in particular, because again, technology is so ingrained in every aspect of our lives, and we each have our blind spots when we're designing and deploying these technologies. And so if you think about it, if you have a very kind of non-diverse set of people designing these technologies, by default, these technologies are not going to work for all of us. And so we need to just bring diverse voices around the table, and that could be gender diversity, it could be age diversity, that's super important. At Affectiva, we have a program for high school students to bring them into the equation and kind of hear their voices and perspectives and how we are thinking about the technologies of the future. But of course, ethnicity and even diversity of backgrounds. We definitely need more women on boards. We need more female founders. We need more female funders. But we also need more women and young people and young girls to design and deploy these technologies. For example, in our field, if AI is designed, without diversity in mind, it ends up being biased, and then it's deployed at scale. And so we find ourselves just continuously perpetuating the bias that exists in society in these scalable technologies. And that's a real big problem. And so, again, it is so key that we bring these diverse voices to the table.
Navigating the system versus transforming the system. What are your individual approaches?
It's actually one of the reasons why we do the work that we do at YW Boston, is because there are many organizations that have an approach of we have to teach the women, we have to teach the people of color how to better navigate the system, right? How do we give them the necessary skills and tools to be successful? And our position is that many of the women of color, they have the tools, they have the skills. It's that the environments don't allow them to be who they are and to be successful in those environments. And so it's really thinking about what can organizations do differently so that everybody can be successful, as opposed to thinking about, depending on how you identify, how can you navigate a system? So an example of that would be thinking about when an organization has promotion criteria. Is that applicable really across the board to everybody? Are there opportunities for people to get support if they need it? And for those that don't need it, then they don't need to get the support. That's what equity is about, giving people what they need to be successful. And so are you as an organization looking at your data and saying, are people moving up at the same rate, regardless of how they identify? And also looking at not just race and gender, but the intersection of both of those.
It is so important to be intentional around how we bring diversity to our tech spaces. I'm going to focus on the tech sector in particular. There are a number of ways to do that. So if you're in a leadership position and, for example, you are hiring for talent, it is so key to ensure that the pipeline is diverse. And if you're working with recruiters and they're not bringing you diverse talent, demand that the talent is diverse and send them back, send them back to do a better job. I would also say even the way job descriptions are articulated, sometimes that can be off-putting and not really inclusive. So we've become really thoughtful and, again, intentional around how we describe these jobs and ensure and be proactive to reach communities that may not necessarily consider applying, to our industry or to our specific company. If you are managing, women or persons of color or both, kind of nudge. Sometimes you need to nudge people on your team to, for example, negotiate better, to self-advocate, to speak up. We find that all the time at Affectiva. And in fact, we've gotten into a habit where if one of the women on my team gets interrupted, I will literally stop the meeting and I will say, hang on, everybody, just a second. Gabby, what were you saying? I really want to hear what you were saying. So it's little things like that that hopefully kind of move the ball forward.
Wow. I'll add something. I just want to build on something that Rana shared. And it was about what you can do as a manager or someone that has privilege, because we all have privilege in different ways. And so instead of relying on employees to always put their hands up, because again, depending on how somebody identifies, what their experience is, they may not be comfortable being as proactive about their progression within an organization. So it's really incumbent upon leaders in organizations and people with privilege, and again, that can be lots of people in an organization, to think about how are you creating environments to help support people. And so instead of just waiting for people to raise their hand, be proactive and saying, here's an opportunity that I think is going to be a growth opportunity for you. I think you should do this. Or as Rana said, I heard somebody saying something over here. Can we just stop and wait a minute and let them finish what they were saying? Because it's a great idea. Let's build upon that. And so what are the things that all of us can do to really help our peers? And if we're managers, help those that we're managing to succeed in our organizations.
I think it's really important to showcase role models and people who look like you. And so the work you're doing, for example, highlighting, women in the community and bringing these women in to share their experiences with these girls and their career paths, right? Their trajectories and their struggles and their successes. I think that is so important, because when you can see somebody who looks like you, who's ahead a few steps, that makes it a lot more real. So that's one thing. I would also say just kind of the opportunity to be part of a like-minded community, right? And again, this is where what Science Club for Girls does is so powerful, because you're bringing these girls together, they're solving these problems, they're kind of finding the power within, which I think is really cool. And thankfully, there's a lot more of these spaces now that exist. So I would encourage, if you're, a mother, or you have a daughter or a sister, to expose girls to these opportunities, because I think they're amazing.
And I would add on to that. I think Rana is right that there is something powerful about being in a community of people that have similar interests, that may have similar identities, so that you can talk, you can get support. And that is extraordinarily, I think, important for people who identify as girls and women to have, to feel like we're supported, particularly in sectors where we don't see a lot of us. I think that's difficult. I think being able to have mentors, people that are older that you can go to, that you can hear their stories, and be able to learn from their experiences. I think, again, that is also something that is so powerful that Science Club for Girls is able to offer. And so I think it's important, again, to encourage people to find, communities where they feel they can be supported, because that support's going to be able to help them when they are in organizations and want to be able to thrive, and sometimes don't know where to go or who to ask. Mentorship is certainly important, but I think what we're talking a lot about now is sponsorship. And that differs from mentorship, because often mentors are people that are there to support you, but sponsors not only support you, but they're actively looking to promote you, whether you're in the room or not, right? So if you're not in the room and your sponsor's there and they hear of an opportunity, they should be talking about you and saying, hey, I think Rana would be great for this role, right? And just because she's not in the room doesn't mean your sponsor doesn't talk about you, and think about how do they help promote you up within the organization. And that's the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, is really a sponsor, feeling like they are really invested in you succeeding and climbing within the organization. And so I think it's important for people to think about, and particularly those in leadership, how can they be sponsors for people, and particularly those that may have marginalized identities in their organizations? How can they make sure that they're sponsoring them? How do they make sure that across the organization that people are being evaluated in an equitable way, and that there aren't sometimes advantages given to some groups versus others, because there's not really anything in writing on how we're going to evaluate people for promotions and other opportunities.
People often talk about mentoring and mentorship, but I hadn't heard it described, the difference between sponsorship and mentorship described in this way, and it was very clear, and I love it. Beth, if you don't mind, I'm going to take it and run with it, and
please
make sure that we incorporate that into our organization.
I would love to hear your thoughts on, how does leadership on this issue of diversity and diversity in STEM look like to you?
I would hope that, at some point, it doesn't matter if you're a female founder. It doesn't matter if you're a person of color starting a company or taking a company public. I would love to see a version of the universe where there's lots of examples of people who are successful in technology and have access to both economic and financial opportunities because they are part of this incredible ecosystem that is science and technology. But this also brings me back to what Science Club for Girls does. You have created an opportunity for girls to continue to engage, to continue to be creative, to continue to problem solve, and I think at the end of the day, be empowered, right? And if there's one message I want to give to any of the girls listening in today, is irrespective of your age, I think it's important that you each feel empowered and feel that you have a voice and you have something to add to the table, and don't shy away from that.
What we try to do at YW Boston, what I try to do, is to meet people where they are around this issue. And it's not about trying to convince people that this is the right thing to do, but understand where they are and try to support people to understand why it is important and the value that it can bring not only to their organizations, but also to their own lives. I think that we are often held back as individuals when we don't understand the biases that we have. And so being able to do my own work, being able to help people do their own work, to understand what might be getting in their way, is part of what I see my work and the work of YW Boston. Again, is helping people understand why this matters, but not convincing them, understanding where they are in this journey, what's getting in their way, and helping ideally to move them along. Because again, I believe that we as a society are only going to benefit if we are able to have everybody really be at their full potential. And we're not going to be able to do that if we can't create environments where people can do that. And so I think, part of our work is making sure those environments exist. So when girls who are part of Science Club for Girls are able to enter their workforce, they're really able to thrive because the environments are ready for them.
Thank you for joining us tonight and showing your support of this inspiring community of women and girls making a positive difference in STEM. If you haven't yet had a chance to donate, now is the time. Please take a moment to make a contribution in any amount that is meaningful to you. You can make a positive impact on a young girl, whether she's a third grader learning about chemistry for the first time or a high school junior gaining leadership skills before going off to college to study neuroscience or mechanical engineering. Your support will bring us one step closer to Science Club for Girls' vision of a fully diverse, inclusive STEM community where all girls, no matter what their background, can imagine themselves in STEM and pursue their dreams of becoming the future scientists, technologists, and engineers we so desperately need. Thank you again, and have a wonderful night.
Wow. Dr. Marbles, what did you think?
Hannah.
Yeah.
Look at my face. Look at my face.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you liked it?
Liked it? It was absolutely amazing, Hannah. Hearing about how Angell and Ty's journey with Science Club for Girls, it was amazing. It's so cool how both of them started as participants and now are mentoring young scientists.
It's so true. It was amazing hearing how Angell looked up to her mentors who were pursuing careers in STEM and defying stereotypes. And now she's filling that role for her young scientists in her club.
And Hannah, it was so incredible to hear about our Catalyst Awardees, Rana and Beth. After hearing about the unique ways each of them are creating more inclusive environments and completely changing the narrative, it totally made sense why they won the awards this year.
So true, Dr. Marbles. Well, I'm so glad you could join us for this incredible event. And thank you to all scientists of all ages who have been able to join us tonight as well. I hope this event inspired you to learn, experiment, and be the catalyst for positive change.
525,500 and
what is he doing now, Dr. Marbles? What are you doing?
525,000. What?
What are you doing?
I'm counting the seconds to our next Catalyst Award. I can't wait.
Me too. Well, until next year, good night, everyone.
Good night, scientists.